Taking the United States as an example, it is unlikely that such students will learn English solely through unmodified content instruction. Their level of understanding of English may be insufficient for them to fully comprehend mathematics or social studies as it normally taught to proficient English speakers, irrespective of whether a transmission of knowledge, pouring nuggets of knowledge into empty heads approach or a progressive discovery learning approach is taken by the teacher.
The Anglophone North American cultural influence is often so strong and pervasive that French immersion children are in danger of becoming passive rather than active bilinguals outside the school gates. The same occurs in immersion schools in many other countries, where the minority language is a language of the classroom, but the majority language is the peer, prestige, language in the schoolyard and on the streets. The curriculum tends to be the same for immersion children as for their mainstream peers. While immersion attempts to cultivate empathy for a student's second language culture, the immersion curriculum has hitherto tended not to have major distinctive components to develop such empathy and participation. For example, in Canada a no challenge is that French becomes the language of school and English the language of the playground, street and vocational success.
Another danger is that the mother tongue is used by the bilingual assistant mainly for discipline and control but not for content learning, sending the wrong message about language use and function. Conversely, in teacher-centered and lecture-dominant classrooms, the bilingual assistant may not be able to provide much help beyond looking over the students' shoulders, pointing to things in their books and on their worksheets, and occasionally whispering a bit to the students in their home language so as not to interrupt the teacher or disturb the rest of the class.
It has often been thought preferable to separate languages in instruction rather than to mix them arbitrarily during a single lesson. Sustained periods of monolingual instruction will require students to attend to the language of instruction. They will thereby simultaneously both improve their language competence and confidence, and acquire subject matter. However, if mathematics, science, technology and computing are taught in English, will the hidden message be that English is of more value for scientific communication?
Another suggestion for adapting the notion of creativity to suit young children is to put the emphasis on the creative process, rather than to judge the quality of the products. This is because young children may not have developed all the skills they need to achieve a successful creative outcome.
This creates a bilingual resource that enables the student to learn in their home and stronger language while they are acquiring a majority language such as English. This discussion will be extended in terms of scaffolding, see the next section. In the UK and US experience, however, there are a few challenges to using bilingual teaching assistants properly. One danger is that the bilingual assistant uses English. In this section we shift our attention to language majority students in bilingual immersion classrooms. Bilingual immersion is a strong form of bilingual education and begins with the formidable task of teaching language majority students through the minority language. Bilingual immersion classrooms typically target language majority students who begin as monolingual speakers of the majority language.
Talent usually refers to the possession of a high degree of aptitude and skill in a given area, such as music or mathematics, but would not necessarily imply either a high degree of originality or an ability to demonstrate creative abilities outside the specific area.
One solution to a lack of suitable bilingual teachers has been to hire bilingual teaching assistants who work, especially in the early grades, under the guidance of the mainstream teacher and typically can speak the home language of some, most or all of the bilingual students. In the United Kingdom, such support workers help the very young, newly arrived and slower learners, often working with small groups. The minimum time the second language needs to be used as a medium to ensure customary achievement levels is 4 to 6 years. Around the end of elementary schooling, immersion students show equal or higher performance in the curriculum compared with their mainstream peers.
The Robinson Report argues that, while there are strong links between the expressive arts and creativity, viewing creativity as solely or mainly the province of the arts is unhelpful because it can lead to a denial of the role of creativity in other areas, such as science and mathematics.
Schools and classrooms are highly complex organizations. They are sites where there are a multitude of actions and reactions, inputs and processes, variable and changing environments, and differing local, regional and national expected learning outcomes, targets and outputs. The formula for success is never simple, partly as success is diversely defined and understood, and partly as perceived effectiveness varies across person, administration, region and time. Also, the mixture of factors affecting effectiveness is so complex that simple recipes are impossible. Effectiveness inevitably goes far beyond language medium and language outcomes, to embrace the full education of a student. Ultimately, effectiveness is about what is deemed best for the child and society, and not just for the future of a language. However, there is sufficient international research, grounded wisdom and accumulated expertise to make it possible to suggest key factors. It is important to repeat the distinction between teaching a language and teaching through a language. Language acquisition in bilingual immersion, heritage and dual language bilingual programs is mostly through a second language being used as a medium of instruction.